I've taken on powerful interests like developers. I've taken on legislators. I've taken on landlords. I've taken on powerful interest in the city of New York because I believe in a good fight. And right now, what we need is someone who understands that you should not be afraid, not be fearful of Donald Trump. We should take him down. We should sue him all the way to bankruptcy. We should investigate his business interests. We should investigate his business holdings. We should investigate whether or not why he was once in debt and now in a position to purchase all of this property. We can do that because I've been trained to do that, and I will do that at the same time knowing the Office of Attorney General and its powers and its responsibilities and its duties. My name is Letitia James, and I plan on being the next Attorney General of the state of New York. God bless you and thank you.
One after the other, I just found that every single mortgage and financing deal she did involved mortgage fraud. You mentioned one of them when she was only 24 years old. Her very first purchase of a home was a townhouse in Queens, and she pretended that she was married to her father in order to get a loan because she would not have qualified without a job or as a single woman. Even after she became Attorney General of New York, a very high-profile position, she engaged in 3 mortgage frauds, 2 involving purchases of homes in Virginia where she falsely claimed it would be her primary residence, when in fact she was buying a house for her niece and her niece's children. And she claimed they'd be primary residences in order to get lower interest rates, because if you live in the home, you typically get a lower residential rate. If it's a rental, you get higher rates. Letitia has a pattern of mortgage fraud that's just going back since 1983, and she's compounding it, as you said, with doxing ICE. Her niece's daughter that she provides a home for in Virginia is a wanted fugitive with an arrest warrant for absconding probation in North Carolina. So she's harboring a fugitive. That could be a charge. So they do have one indictment against Letitia James for mortgage fraud for one of her properties, but I think superseding indictments are coming. I think she's going to be charged in New York State and other jurisdictions. And it's just, the irony is staggering because Letitia James, an educated woman, and she came up with all these theories about no one is above the law. If you commit any even small mistake on your mortgage, it's a grave crime. And she charged President Trump with this crazy theory. All along, it turns out that Letitia herself is the one that had committed mortgage fraud for so many years. Then there's something called a mini RICO law in the state of New York. There's a federal RICO law. So she could be charged with a pattern of behavior. The pattern of behavior also proves intent because, for example, Letitia James told Jory Reid about a month ago, she said, they're charging me with mortgage fraud, but you have to prove intent, which is true. You have to prove they intended to break the law. But in Letitia's case, the pattern of 43 years shows that she knew exactly what she was doing. Ironically, Letitia James herself has actually charged and prosecuted people in New York State other than Donald Trump for the very same mortgage fraud crimes that I believe she committed. So she knows the law very well. So I don't think she can get out of it by saying, I didn't mean to do it, I didn't intend to do it, because it's a pattern that goes back 43 years when she pretended she was married to her father to get a favorable loan. So I don't think she is going to get out of it. I think she should resign. I think she should try to cop a plea, because I think more charges are coming, because the history of mortgage fraud is just staggering that Letitia James has been engaged in.
A financial fraud expert. I'm in Office of Personnel Management, but detailed to DOJ, looking at mortgage fraud and other types of fraud, and involved in this Letitia James matter that's in the news today. Letitia James is the New York Attorney General, and she's supposed to take that office, she's supposed to be a resident of New York. But we found, and there were some whistleblower referrals that said she had 2 other properties in Norfolk, Virginia, where she listed those as her primary residence. So now she's saying she has 3 primary residences, and so she was indicted on false statements about the mortgage, whether she occupied them or not. She basically said she lived in all 3, but it turns out those weren't true. So she was indicted for false statements to the mortgage company, and that indictment went out about maybe 10 days ago. And today she was arraigned. I'm not sure what she pled. She probably pled not guilty, but the facts are quite the otherwise. With her dad as her husband, that was in her Brooklyn property where she lives. It's a multi-unit property, so she rents out several of them as an investment property. So she's got some issues with that. But the ones in Virginia, she basically said they were her residence. But she also wrote on her tax return that she was there 0 days. So that is a violation. That's a misrepresentation on the mortgage. So that's what she was indicted on, basically making a false statement that she said she was going to live there, but on the tax form she said she never lived there. So it's a problem for her. But now she's out in the media trying to minimize this, and she has some problems with that too. With the assistance of Letitia James and her sycophants, the ABC News put out a story that the indictment was flawed, and I know that to not be true. They're basically they're getting leaks from the grand jury, and it might be from the prosecutors that were fired. There were a couple other prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert and Elizabeth Usey, and it appears in my professional opinion that they really fouled up that case. And now they might be actually talking to ABC News and giving them disinformation and leaking grand jury information, and that's a big problem for them. And they made two statements I know to be false. One about some $800 figure that is nowhere in the record, and another trying to minimize the rental income. And they didn't understand the tax forms that. So it was almost purposeful subterfuge by these prosecutors, by ABC, to try to interfere with this case. The facts are not on Letitia James' side. She has to involve misinformation and get that out there. So, but I can tell you, it's not going to be a good story for them. So ABC, Letitia James, when all the facts come out, it's going to be quite embarrassing for them. And frankly, there might be gag orders that may be placed on their side about this, because if they want to litigate this in the press, it's not going to go well for them. In the first indictment, there was great information in indictment counts 9 and 10 about her tax returns. And again, the public information there is that she never was at those homes. And so if you look further into that, that could be a problem for her. So, false statements from Letitia James, it's definitely not retribution. President Trump trying to do the right thing and restore accountability, and he'll call it as he sees it. If there's a felony committed, and there's an alleged that she's committed 2 felonies of false statements to financial institutions, false statements to lenders. It appears to me from what ABC News put out, that was grand jury information that should not have been leaked, and the fired prosecutor likely was involved, at least what ABC said.
New York taxpayers who had to foot the bill when the state's attorney general went after Trump could now be on the hook for AG Letitia James' legal defense fees as she tries to battle mortgage fraud charges. Yeah, and now she is trying to use taxpayer dollars to pay for her personal legal fees. What do you make of this and the fact that there is even a provision in the state's budget to cover an official's legal defense fees?
The legislature snuck in $10 million to make sure that the taxpayers pay for whatever legal defense she has against Donald Trump. She accused Donald Trump of the same, and yet her lawyer, Abbott Lowell, said recently, it was just an error. We made a mistake. Even alleging that her father was her husband, her spouse, that was a mistake. Yes, we made a few errors, but we later corrected that in the document. Just go back and look. Come on.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.